Howdy, folks! Welcome back to the story of Texas, brought to you by the Stick Figure Historian, the self-acclaimed internet expert on all things history. Man, was that cheesy. Alright, so last episode I told you about the Goliad Massacre, and the news of this caught up with Sam Houston and the Texan army as they continued to lead the frantic runaway scrape. With Fannin and his men dead, Houston knew that his force was now officially the only standing army left to stop the approach of the Mexican dictator. But he didn't feel it was wise to stop and fight the Mexicans right now. He needed to get the men in a better position first, regroup, and prepare them for a fight. They only had one shot left at winning this war, and he wanted to be very careful not to waste it. Most of Houston's men thought differently. They wanted to turn around and go fight the Mexicans right now. Why should they run from the foe? Santa Anna had just slaughtered hundreds of their countrymen in 2 terrible massacres. They wanted revenge. They thought Houston was being a coward, and they told him so. Some of them were so frustrated that they gave up and deserted. But still, Houston kept on. He didn't stop until they were just beyond the town of San Felipe. There, he began to prepare for the great battle he knew that would surely come. For the first time in this whole revolution, the Texans actually practiced regular military drill. Before this, they had all fought independently, going off of whatever martial skills they had privately mastered. But now, they were trained how to fight in a unit, as the Mexicans did. David Burnett, the new president of Texas, was not pleased when he heard what Houston was doing. He thought that Houston was being a coward too. He sent his Secretary of War, Thomas Rusk, to go figure out what in the world Houston was doing. "If you won't fight," Burnett told Rusk, "then I want you to take over." Soon, Rusk arrived in the Texan camp. He quietly watched the Texans as they drilled, then went to go talk to Houston. Houston explained his plan to Rusk, and Rusk soon saw the wisdom in it. He told Houston to keep up the good work, and left him to his business. The Secretary of State, Samuel Carson, was thrilled with Houston's idea too. I don't think he talked like that. "You should retreat even further north," he advised, "up to the Sabine River. Then we might get a bunch more American recruits to help us." But Burnett still didn't understand. Now he was just frustrated with the whole lot of them. "The enemy are laughing you to scorn," he wrote to Houston. "You must fight them. You must retreat no further. The country expects you to fight. The salvation of the country depends on your doing so." Most of the Texan troops still didn't get it either. Whispers of mutiny began circulating through their ranks. Houston dealt with it by putting up a notice that anyone who tried to take over and be commander for him would be promptly shot. Yep, that's always the best way to deal with things, just threaten people. Okay. But let us leave them for now and see what Santa Anna was about. On the 29th of March, the Mexican dictator was just heading out of Bexar. There was quite a bit on his mind as he led his army of operations out of the city. He was in a conundrum. News had just come from Mexico City that the man he had left in charge to be president had died. meaning a new one had to be chosen. Santa Anna was worried that someone would take advantage of the situation and try to take over the government while he was busy in Texas. On the other hand, if he left Texas, he was worried that General Uriah would use all the victories he had won to get popularity with the army, and then start a new rebellion against him. He didn't trust General Uriah, you see. Santa Anna was wanting to be in two places at once. And of course, that just wasn't possible. The only other option then was to hurry up this whole Texan campaign so he could rush back home and put affairs in Mexico City back in order. Sometime along the march, the Mexicans captured a stray Texan soldier. This man told the Mexicans that the Texans had retreated to San Felipe, and that once Santa Anna crossed the Brazos River, the Texans planned to retreat even further. This wasn't true, but the Mexicans believed it, and Santa Anna was particularly pleased. He pressed on towards the Brazos at once. He was sorely disappointed with what he saw there when they arrived on the 14th of April. He found the crossing heavily guarded by the Texans. So much for that. They weren't retreating at all. Oh well, he would capture their leaders then. He deployed 700 troops to hurry off to Harrisburg, the new seat of the Texan government. This proved to be only another disappointment. Burnett and all the other officials had been forewarned and fled. Undaunted, Juan Almonte pursued after them with his cavalry. All the way to the shore of the West Bay they pressed their horses, only to see the last of the Texan officials' boats pushing off to escape to Galveston Island. It was Burnett's boat that Almonte watched as it launched into the waves. The Mexican troops hurried to set the cannons, to fire at the boats, but Almonte stopped them. Burnett's family was on board, and the commander didn't wish to harm them. Santa Anna would have rather captured the Texans' leaders, but he was not entirely displeased at Almonte's report, nonetheless. They had fled, and that was enough. Texas was like a ship in the midst of a gale and without a captain. She could do nothing but smash on the rocks and sink. Shortly thereafter, Almonte's scouts brought back an encouraging report regarding the Texan army. Word was that the Texan troops were making for Galveston to try and join their government. Things were playing perfectly into Santa Anna's hand. Now he could intercept and destroy them all. He went to Lynchburg to stand in the way of their advance. Trouble was, the report from Almonte's scouts was false. In actuality, the Texans were currently heading to Harrisburg, where Santa Anna had just left. Houston had finally got them moving. He didn't exactly know where the Mexicans were at this point, but it made sense to rally around their seat of government to protect it against the invaders. They arrived on April 18th. Arrived to the smoldering ruins that Santa Anna had left behind. Harrisburg was no more.